Welcome back to Benny's Custom Works, proudly supported by Sparesbox and Valvoline. Don't forget BCW5 on checkout. This week, we're down at Haltech again. Got our good friend Scotty here. And today, we're going to be talking all sort of things nerdy, tuning Falcons, and hopefully by the end of it, the rods will be in the block and all the clutch packs will still be in the ZF. What do you reckon, Scotty?
Mate, I've had a bit of experience with these. Obviously, I had one for a long time. That was the FG Series 2.
That was a fun car to cobble together.
Man, loved it. You obviously did a lot of work on it.
That was a wicked car, yeah.
Yeah.
Enjoyed that. That was probably the reason why I've kind of progressed with this thing more than I'd originally planned. Was that car was just so good. It just worked so well. It
was awesome. Obviously, you and I did all the work on it, like literally just there on the ground when we had the cylinder head off and we're doing valve springs and doing all the stuff.
Done that a few times here now.
Yeah,
had engines in bits in where they shouldn't be.
And I'm heaps bad with pulling engines apart because, like, I'm pretty good at pulling them apart, and then I'm pretty good with like the technical part of physically doing it.
Yeah.
But man, remembering where all the bolts go, I don't know how you do it.
Well, you use 80% of them, and then you put the other 20% in the bin.
Man, we've had a pretty good success rate. That car's still kicking away. It made nearly 500 kilowatts at the wheels.
Yeah, it's had like 900 owners though. I've seen it for sale like 4 times.
Yeah, I don't know whether
it's kind of odd.
A bit of weird e-fame or something, and I sold it at the beginning of like the crazy pricing.
Yeah, when it was still. I think for what you guys sold it for, it was a pretty fair deal.
It had an expensive gearbox. It had all the stuff by the end.
Yeah.
It ran 10.
Yeah, I put a Monster Torque box in it and all sorts of stuff.
It had a box, had a torque converter.
Had a diff.
Diff with the cradle and everything.
IMS diff in it.
All the Plasma Man stuff and all of the full fuel system, like the big boy fuel system. Like your low 40s.
Yeah.
Pretty good car.
Yeah.
And the interior was it drove awesome.
Yeah.
The only thing that was offensive on it was those wheels were hideous.
We didn't pick those wheels.
We did not pick those wheels.
Bloody Richo. That'll be a test. We'll see if he actually watches this video.
Yeah, I think the factory wheels are still in the other factory.
Nice.
I'll have to go have a look.
Well, it's always a good chat. So we're going to chuck this thing on the dyno now and start making some numbers.
I think we'll do a bit of cheating, and probably what I'm going to do, because it's such a similar setup to what I had, it's got a Elite Pro plug-in, so we'll upgrade it to the NSP software so it's super fast to work with.
Nice.
We'll import in all of the mapping that I spent months with on my car.
Yeah.
And then we'll do an injector calibration, figure out exactly what we've actually got going on, and just start running it up. And we'll boost control stuff. Mine always had a drama with the Wastegate because the Wastegate flapper, even though it was ported,
got a big dog in it, so hopefully it'll be all right.
Awesome. Okay.
This Alex at High School basically milled the thing out as far as we could actually go in the housing before it exploded. So,
all right, unreal.
Got the good flapper deal on it and got an aftermarket actuator on it. So hopefully we've got half a chance of not getting epic boost spikage.
Yeah, perfect. All right. In mine, I ended up using the throttle blade, so I would map the throttle blade versus boost because
that's sneaky.
That's all I could do. That was the best
that
I had. So we always have that. But if Alex has done it, I'm sure it'll be perfect. So, all right, well, let's strap her on and do all our updates and stuff and then start from there.
Let's go.
All right, so what's going on here? We've gone online with the ESP software. So that was the one that's been around for, say, 10 years or something like that.
Since Nexus, right?
Since Elite, yeah.
Sorry, Elite, yeah. Jesus.
So at the beginning of the ESP software, it was fast and it was cutting edge and it was like, and then
for the time, it was pretty cool.
As the products developed and as we added features and all the new functionality, man, it just clogged up like everything. It just got full and slow, which is even frustrating for us. So the NSP software now works with all the Elite platform. It's a free software update. So all we're doing here, we're bringing your Falcon Pro plugin up to the current and the final firmware release in ESP. Then we'll do another update from ESP across to the new platform.
Yeah. So you have to go to the current ESP before you can go to NSP?
Yeah. So the reason why we do that is that we've got, say, 45 odd firmware versions, and then there's variants of all of those.
Yeah.
So the effort involved in our engineering team to allow you to update from any firmware version directly into Nexus stuff is insane.
Yeah, okay.
Whereas we figure, look, if you're getting this software update for free, which is a pretty valuable thing.
You can do 10 minutes worth of work.
At the least, all we want you to do is just update to the last version of ESP. Then we've got everything is updating from the same playing field.
Yeah, okay.
Flick it across. Man, the updates have been really nice. There's no drama. So all I'm going to do, we just did that software update. So now, before we go across to NSP, I'm just going to start it. Still runs, that's always a plus. So that's just kind of proving to me that the thing's going to go.
The ECU's happy at this point.
Yeah.
It hasn't lost anything in the update.
Spot on. Tools. Upgrade ECU for use with NSP. Yes, yes, and yes. It's installed the NSP software.
Mm-hmm.
It's telling me that it's the latest version. It's telling me USB is connected and the ECU's got power. So what it's about to do, it's saved the serial number of the ECU. It's saved a copy of the map in the background if anything goes pear-shaped.
That's cool.
We go run.
So it's pretty fail-safe. Like, I could do this without burning it to the ground.
Yeah, yeah.
That's cool.
It's going to shut the Elite software. It opens the Nexus software. It changes the USB driver. Just so it's already written the comms protocol into it, which is already faster. And now it's going through and it's telling you, so it's doing the supervisor firmware stuff. It does the ECU firmware stuff. It upgrades your ESP or your Elite map into the Nexus sort of look.
Mm-hmm. So the car's currently kind of wigging out in the background. Is that because effectively the ECU doesn't exist right now?
Yeah, so whether you're flashing this car or whether you're doing this with a Haltech, all this stuff normally happens because when the ECU's getting loaded,
can's kind of,
it's dropped out.
The bus has crashed.
Yeah, so the ECU's missing, so it just tells us that everything's gone to shit.
Yeah, okay, cool. Because, it's kind of like airbag lights on, ABS lights on, traction control. And it's like, oh, okay, I've never seen that. But then I thought, maybe all of these systems are kind of looking for the ECU, and as far as the car's concerned, the ECU's offline.
Missing. Yep, no, it's got no language at the moment.
Yeah.
So hopefully when this goes all back together, we'll start it, the thing will start and run. And then we'll probably, I think we might do some magical importing of stuff. And we'll do some importing of fuel maps and ignition maps. And the truth is, we're just going to pull them straight from my car because it was so similar. And then we'll use that as our sort of base map for this and we'll work from there.
Yeah, cool.
So the next thing we'll do, turn everything off again, turn it back on, cross our fingers.
Still a Falcon.
Still a Falcon. All right, so after any update, and as a bit of a health check, I always like to just start from the beginning. I know it takes a lot of time, but before we even start the car again, I just want to go through every single setting because since I would have made this base map or since I would have seen you last if I'd tuned it, like I'm learning stuff every day. So
in the new NSP setup?
New NSP software, tuning cars, adding new features and functions that help along the way. So instead of assuming that everything's up to date, I like to just tinker through and just make everything like what I, of the things I've learned. Here's one that's probably in a Falcon straight away. Synchronization mode, conditional. 2000 RPM, 100% throttle. What this means is that this is one of the things that I've been doing a lot recently where the cam signal, so you've got a crank and a cam signal. The crank signal is giving us engine position. That's what we calculate ignition timing off. The cam signal gives us variable cam control, as well as the engine position because it's a 4-stroke engine. So the crank spins a couple of times,
so
the cam
that
spins
basically
once.
gives you like sequential injection.
Yep, think of it like a reset signal. So we see a cam event and we go, okay, cylinder 1's coming up next. We fire 6 cylinders. Then we do nothing and we just sit around and wait until the cam pulse turns up again. Then we do 6 cylinders. Falcons are notoriously bad. Toyotas are really bad with the cam pulses are just bit shitty, bit hard to pick up. So instead of us having to look at that cam pulse every single rotation, instead of doing that,
it looks at it at 2000 RPM or 100% throttle.
So what I'm trying to say here is above 2000 RPM, stop looking for it. Just count from 1 to 6. Count to 1 to 6 again. Ignore the cam. Don't worry about it. We still use it for cam phasing, so we still do the variable cam control. We don't use it for the fuel and ignition reset. I find this just helps a lot because if you're going to have a cam sensor problem anyway, it's going to misfire, it's going to carry on, it's going to have problems. So I'd rather just rely on one sensor instead of 2 if it's possible. Fuel system all looks pretty good. I didn't mention before when we went online with this, there was no trouble codes or anything, so there was nothing that I sort of noticed as a potential problem.
Every now and then I got like, when I first started mucking around with the injectors, it was like injector duty and then lean trip, and then it's all sort of gone away just by keep trimming it.
Man, I think
which I don't know if that's a good thing or not to do, but it kind of kept it running for a month, so.
I think it's a really good thing. What you've done is very clever. Man, it makes sense. Exactly what you've done makes sense. engine protection is enabled on it, exactly like what you're talking about. So level 2, if it goes over 5 pounds of boost, one of the things that we've changed in this new firmware is we used to have that one number, so that if it was, say...
So this is boost cut you're talking about?
No, this is engine protection as a lean trip. So if it's leaner than 12.9 and if it's over 5 pounds of boost and over 2.5 grand, for more than 0.7 of a second, it was going into engine protection.
Yeah.
We now have added this one, so it's actually a 3D table now, so you can map.
How much protection?
Yeah, you can map your your lean condition based on RPM or manifold pressure or distance from the target.
Yeah,
so we've kind of given you a lot more flexibility like that, and you can do whatever you like there. And then the next thing I'm doing here is putting in a little bit more effort, because I'm lazy, where I'm just cutting down all the table axes, because I don't want to be trying to make all the numbers look pretty and adjusting all of the numbers up to 45 pounds of boost when
we're never going to get
you're never going to get there anyway. There's no need to do it. How does it start in the morning? It's all pretty nice, and it kind of...
Yeah, it kicks off, no worries.
We'll sharpen up the O2 controller a little bit, so we'll let it sample a lot more often. Long-term trim, this is my absolute favourite function. It's so nice because it looks at the short terms
and then builds a long-term trim table off of that.
And then looks at how far wrong the tune is, and then instead of doing the wrong thing over and over again, and like if it gets to a particular point in the map and the short term is always adding or removing 20% fuel, you don't want to make the same mistake over and over and over again. So it looks at it, and as soon as the short terms become too great, it just puts that in the background and remembers it. So next time you go through there, that
tells you
correction,
what's wrong.
it's already there.
Yeah.
This table is basically telling it how much learning to do. And I'm going to go in there now and say do heaps. Okay, we've got a 22 pound boost cut. That's good to know. Yeah, so that's our latency or the dead times, which are, to be honest, probably a bit loose. And I know it's important, and everyone tells me how important dead times and flow rates and all this stuff are, but if you can get the car on a dyno, and if you can hold it at 50 kilowatts or something and sort of rough in your flow rate, then at idle, rough in your dead time. And I know I'm going to get hammered for this, but the reality is when a car turns up that doesn't have
that
X amount of $300 per injector, what do? You can't, like, it is what it is. You've got to just get on
Work
with it.
with what you got.
The dead time stuff, you can kind of rough it in versus battery voltage. Ideally, you know, you need to know that as the battery voltage goes down, it takes longer for the injector to physically open. If you can sort of rough something in that's going to put it on the safer side of things, it's the best you can do. And a lot of the times that's why our short and long-term fuel trims are so important. It's because a lot of the time you don't have that information.
And then you can apply those trims to
kind
of fill in the dots.
Spot on, and figure out what's actually happening. Yeah. Well, that's all I was going to do. I was going to open up our O2 control stuff and let it be a little bit more aggressive. For the beginning here, while we're mucking around, we'll go 20%, 20%.
Is that trims?
Yep, so that's how much we're going to let the short term do its job. Our target landward there is 15.7. It's a little bit weird. That might have been a bit of mucking around back in the day or something. Can you afford to tune this car today though? Less to do with the cost of the tuning and more to do that, you know, petrol was like $2.50 today, so...
Really?
You've only got, what do you got in here?
3/4 of a tank.
Oh, baller.
I know, right? I filled it all the way up.
Safety first.
Safety second. I need my stack hat on.
What I'm going to do, I'm going to be a bit cheeky, try and use the long terms.
You're not putting your map in?
No, I've kind of just put a bit of a mixture of everything together. So we're pulling 18% there, and I'm just watching our short-term trims.
Yeah.
Try and get the shape a little bit nicer. What I am going to do, yours is so f***ed up.
Start again.
I think I'm going to start again.
Is it f***ed up because the injector shit's just so far out?
I think so,
Yes. Really bad habits.
Just everything bad, yeah.
I got it to drive.
Then, because I know that's roughly the right efficiency of the engine, I'm now going to bring it up, and this is what I was talking about before. Get it to a position, $2,500.
Yeah, I was mucking around with all the injector sizing and idle to get it to just be nice at idle. In my head, I was like, if it's at idle happy, it'll be happy everywhere.
Alright, so that's an issue. The reason why that's a problem is because this is that injector dead time thing that we're talking about. So this is why there's two different things going on here. At idle, it takes, let's just say, it takes 1 millisecond for the injector to physically open.
Yeah.
And then we've got 0.1 of a millisecond of injection time to fuel the engine at idle. So that means that in total, roughly, we've got 90% it takes to physically lift the injector off the seat, and 10% to spray the fuel in. So if we change the injector flow rate to get the thing to idle well, as soon as we get to, let's say, that's the reason why I just picked $2,500 and like 2 or 3 pounds of boost, 50 kilowatts it made. What's happening there is we now have the same 1 millisecond of time to get it off the seat, but we've now got 3 milliseconds of injection time. So that ratio's flipped over.
Yeah, okay.
So
that's why it ran mad, because I told the ECU that the injectors were smaller than they were.
Yep.
And it made the idle happy.
Yep.
But then you've flipped it backwards the other way.
So it's no good up top.
Yeah. So I noticed sometimes if I gave it a hit, it'd just plume smoke.
Yeah. So the idea being that at 50 kilowatts, you can kind of massage your flow rates to get them in the ballpark. And then
but at idle, it's not a thing.
Idle, don't touch your flow rates, only touch the dead times.
Okay, cool.
Again, my disclaimer on this is if you can afford the injector roof if the injector is available it's got all the flow rate and dead time tables, just buy them and put them in. If you don't know what it is, or it's a factory injector that you're repurposing, that's the way to do it. Ring, ring. Look at this magic.
It works now.
Whee! 120 kilowatts, is that enough?
It's more than
How's
the
a Barra A?
It's more than the Lexus.
Ringing
when
its
it used
neck.
to be supercharged, it made more. It's just now made more than that. 141 kilowatts.
She's gonna make boost. Pew pew. 14-pound spring.
Apparently.
I'll show you 14-pound spring. What I'm gonna do here, base duty cycles 0.
And that'll tell us what the spring pressure is.
Yeah.
Well, it may and it may not. It may tell us what the gate creeps do.
Just going to go through. I'm going to turn off our long terms on the learning. So long terms not just on fuel.
It's also boost control.
It's boost control, it's idle control, it's cam control. It's any closed loop control system that has a target.
Yeah, right.
The base duty, think of the base duty as like if you're trying to, let's say, target 20 pounds of boost pressure, my base duty, let's say it's 25%, that's me helping the computer, and I'm sort of saying, open to 25%, that's close enough to 20 pounds.
Yeah.
Then let the long-term controller adjust my 25% to make my educated guess perfect. Reset the ECU. Quick sneaky one while we're running.
I remember that with the old data. It's like bring up the 3 grand, reset it, hope it catches.
Yep, cool.
Come back up.
Let's just go again. Exactly the same thing. I've just zeroed out all the boost control tables, and I'm going to bring up a number display over here. Boost control output, the actual duty cycle on the solenoid. £14. Mad. 165 kilowatts. Is that enough? Still more.
Not bad result.
Oh, thanks. Is that enough for a video?
That's alright. Well, you want to make 4 videos today?
Oh, it's 12 o'clock and 12:30 is lunch, so we've got another 20 minutes.
That is true.
Okay. So, all I'm doing here, how I like to do it on the dyno, is it's a bit hard with auto, but basically what I try and do is every load point, so 1500 RPM, 1750, 2000, 2250, I'll put the trace on so you can see.
Yeah, what cell it's sitting in.
And I'm looking at my target versus my actual. I'm looking at how close we are in the trim.
Yeah.
Not bad. Come up a little bit. 1750, so this is called steady state.
Yeah.
You can see it on the converter that it'll creep up a bit. Target versus actual, not bad. Come up a bit more. Not bad. One of the things we just spoke about, like target versus actual, that's probably an important part. This is mapping out the volumetric efficiency of the engine.
Yeah.
Meaning it's a 4-litre engine. Every time the camshaft spins around one time, how much air pumps through it, assuming it's an aspirated engine. So 100% efficiency means that
We should never get.
one goes straight, exactly, yes, within reason.
Yeah.
I've missed a whole step here in explaining what I'm doing. That the fuel tuning, this is what my target is. My target air to fuel ratio table. So with experience, I've gone through and set up in this car in all the light load and cruising areas, 14.7 to 1. That's what I want it to run.
Yeah.
As it comes on the boost, I'm running, say, 11.9 to 1, and then under full load, 11.5, 11.4, 11.3 to 1. So I've set that table. You need an experienced tuner to set the target values for you,
To know
because
where you're at.
and they're different depending on the style of engine. There's magic in getting something that fuels the engine correctly to make the most horsepower, the right mixture to cool the engine. In fuel efficiency as well, we do want to run it lean enough in all the cruise areas that you're not wasting fuel and getting shitty fuel economy. I've gone through now and I'm doing all of our steady state up to about $2,500, which is where I feel comfortable. If this thing was on an engine dyno and we wanted to beat the shit out of this engine till the end of the earth, we could steady state every single load site on the whole engine. So the name of the game is to do as many load sites as we can, as quickly and as efficiently as we can, without overheating anything. Then when I start to feel too guilty about holding it at, 10 pounds and $4,000 and 250 kilowatts, that's
For
when
like 15 seconds at a time.
But it's not just that one site. We would be going 0, 2 pounds, 4 pounds, 6
that's
pounds.
what I mean. Yeah.
Like, man, too much. So that's when we start going into sweep. Remembering as well that you're not, because of the way the auto works, you're not holding this thing at $2,500 doing all of those load sites, because the car is accelerating and you're going to miss them anyway.
Yeah.
So we just have to be realistic as well. Fourth gear, start data logging, half throttle, go. Go. Full throttle. Whee!
310.
Ah, it's so much fun in Barra.
I was close. I made an educated guess by how steep the curve was when I went off the top of the graph.
Stop logging. Open in data log viewer. So on Wastegate, that little bump there is me on the throttle, not pedaling.
Yeah.
Man, congratulations to whoever made the turbocharger. It makes 14 pounds. Very, very impressive. Unreal.
Top job, Alex. Thank you.
The first thing I do is I just look at the health. I'll straight away see what's going on. So, this is such a good one to brag about. Check this shit out. That target versus actual thing that I was talking about before.
Yeah.
So on the top here, I've got boost pressure, which I don't have control over yet. That's just off the wastegate.
Yeah.
The engine RPM looks a bit wiggly because I've got everything fully unfiltered, because that's the way that I like to tune the car.
Yeah.
We can smooth that out, but
It's just making the lunge. It's just putting a ruler across the midpoints.
And that's what's actually happening. That the engine is always going back and forward,
fluctuating on RPM.
This thing here, the target air fuel ratio. So that's my target, what I set up as what I want, and what I've got.
Can you just do a good job next time, Scotty?
Is that good? I can't remember. 11.7 and targeting 11.7, getting 11.7. It's the first pull. Sometimes the hardest part of this whole thing is figuring out what to do for the next half an hour, That's not true, I'm sure.
The first 100 kilowatts is the hardest, eh, Scotty?
Normally, yes, it is.
The first 300 in this case.
I just want you out of here quick, so I figured
This is so dumb. Like, 311 kilowatts on 14 pounds.
It's ridiculous, man.
Barrett,
and I know everyone carries on about all the different models and all that stuff.
Ford just got these so right. Hey, like, Shout out to Ford.
Healthy power, man. One of the things here that is not telling the whole story. Yes, this makes me look like a legend because that's perfect on the first pull, but I am being a bit tricky because look at what's going on. So the short-term fuel trim, that's what I'm hiding from you. So as it come on, it's actually adding
coming in.
It's adding 3%, which I'm not even going to worry about.
Yeah, but 3%.
Then it's at -1. So I'm normally targeting -2, -3, -4. The bigger the injector is, the looser you can be in your short-term trims because it's just harder.
Yeah.
As we cruise along here on full boost here, 3.5 grand, 14 pounds, it's pulling 6%, 5, 6, 5, 6, something like that. So if I come back, I'll have a quick look at the long-term trim table and just see if it did, like how much of it filled in. So it's put not much, not enough samples in that one pull to actually do it. So what I can do is have a look here, and all I do is go, you know what, at let's say 12 pounds, 3 grand onwards on the base fuel map, I'll have a look for an anomaly there. 12 grams, 3 pound onwards, so somewhere there, and go, you know what, if I was to go somewhere that's on that whole chunk there, give or take, 12 grams, 3 percentage, -3%. That's what it wants. And then I'm just going to have a look for the other little shapes there that just don't quite look right. Like there's a 90 number sitting there. Something like that. Just make it look pretty enough. Sometimes it can have all bumps and clumps and all this sort of stuff. Cam control will do that. Anyone who tells you, oh, it's not tuned right because it's got a weird clump or a weird bump here, or it might have some weird reversion in the intake. There's so many different things, so I never try and pick on anyone's fuel maps because they're just giving the engine what it wants.
There's thousands of parameters that you're trying to work with.
You hold him for a second. I'm going to jump out because I'm just going to go and reposition the O2 sensor in the tailpipe. I don't really need it because I've got the onboard wideband on the ECU, but just so the dyno sheet looks nice in a video, we'll make it so it's got the mixture there as well, just so we can brag about like how flat it is.
Sure is, bruv. That one's still rolling. That one's still rolling. We're all still rolling. Are you still rolling? You're just doing one half an hour shot. Have fun editing that one, future Gian. Yep.
What do we do now?
I don't know. What do we do now?
All right.
Put 22 pound in it and then go and have lunch?
Okay. So, for Boosto Controlo, let's see how this works. Boost target pressure. I'm going to delete all the pressures out that are below 14 pounds.
Because they don't mean anything.
Can't get there anyway.
Yeah.
I'm going to delete out anything over about 26 pounds because I don't have a map sensor, and...
How far does the factory map sensor go to?
20, about 25, I think it is.
Yeah, okay.
Give me one sec. I'll open the calibration and go to map sensor. Yeah, 24.9 is the max of the factory sensor.
Yeah.
You can...
It's pretty generous for a factory sensor,
That's
hey?
all right,
Like,
yeah.
They knew what was... Ford knew shit was
There was
going
one
down with these
dude there.
cars.
Imagine him in the meeting being like, just put a 25 pound sensor in it. And they're like, but it only runs 6 pounds. And he's like,
Oh, we got them cheap.
this is all we've got, man. Just put this one in. This is mint. A hint for that as well, on these cars, there are direct replacement sensors you can get.
Yeah.
Heaps of them are from
Like some diesel things.
Holden Captiva diesel. Just be a little bit careful with that because they run, I think they're up to 43 pounds of boost.
Yeah, but they got no vac.
Only half vac because that engine doesn't have vacuum anyway.
Yeah.
So this thing pulls 21 inches of vacuum.
It's a lot of vacuum.
It is. Normally they pull 20, so 21, whatever.
Good engine.
Is it run in? Yeah, it's run in. Yeah.
Well, this isn't the original engine anymore.
Ah.
This is a birthday engine.
Oh yeah, how many Ks this one got?
Like 110 or something.
Yeah, brand new.
I've seen videos of what the previous owner did to this engine though, so it's definitely been run in.
All right, we give it the beans.
May as well. May as well.
I've had a guess at our start duty cycle for our boost controller, and I'm just going to put, we're going to go for 16 pounds with, 20% duty. We'll see what happens.
stupid.
I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. No extra boost. Boost control output. So the first thing I'm going to do is just check that I didn't something up. Nope, the output is there and it is working. So it seemed like what happened just there, this is actually pretty cool to look at. So have a look at what happened though with the closed loop strategy. This is interesting the way that it works. Down the bottom, engine RPM, top to bottom, that's our pull.
Yeah.
Boost pressure, came on song, 15 pounds, or our wastegate pressure.
So that's what you've told it, and it's working more into
I guessed it was going to be 20%.
Yeah.
I'm wrong. The controller went nut 28. Look, that's the controller going more. Come on, man. Come on. And we got all the way to the top. The controller got to 61%.
And it did nothing.
Did absolutely nothing at all.
I wonder if the solenoid's dead.
Before we tried to get some spiky boost before. Something did happen to it before, which was weird.
Can you drive the solenoid manually?
We can, yep, for sure.
Maybe I jump out and feel it.
Yep, let's shut it down.
Soz, stupid long car.
We didn't even have the bonnet open. If we did, we probably would have got an extra Lexus worth of power.
It's a factory solenoid, don't forget. It's not a click-clack Mac. Yeah, it's working.
We might just need to go for more juice. Options include swapping to a Mac valve, or we just give it another run and we'll do it at 100% duty.
Just to see what it does.
Just to prove it. But if it's pulsing, there's not much more we can do.
It's either the output's blocked, the hoses between the two can't be blocked because then it'd make infinite boost.
Yep.
So it's either the bleed port is blocked on the solenoid,
Yep.
or the bleed port's blocked on the solenoid.
Yeah, there can't be much else there.
It's either the solenoid's buggered.
And you know, the other thing it could be as well is that with this combination of wastegate and spring and whatever's going on, we got to 67% duty cycle on the solenoid with zero change. What I'm going to do is start the next run
at
with
60% and then ramp it in.
Let it run to 100 and see what control we get by the end.
Yeah, okay. Just fold myself back in. I'll never get used to the noise of the fan cutting on.
Boom.
It's like something just broke. It doesn't have soft start. It's just, it's on now.
Start at 67, start data logging, spacebar, save. Cross your fingers. Locks converter, go.
Boost cut.
Boost cut.
Well, we're making more boost. That's good.
So
it does work. So what was the boost cut at?
22, I think.
All right, so it's wicking a fair bit in there then.
That's nice because we don't actually need to do any work.
The solenoid's not linear?
Yeah, it might just be a bit funky. Let's see what's going on. Where did it want to go? Skywards.
To the moon! So effectively duty cycle isn't linear on this solenoid for the result.
Yep, so let's see what the boost control output. So starting it at 67, wanted way too much.
I wonder if the solenoid was actually sticky too and we've maybe woken it up pulsing it.
It's never been, it obviously hasn't been used for a very long time.
I wonder if maybe it's sticky and you've just given it 50%.
I gave it 100 for a bit as well to just let it, just give it hell.
Maybe it's just woken up.
So what we can do...
Maybe go back to 30% and see what it does.
Yeah, what we can do, we're going to change our strategy a little bit. I don't want to power run the shit out of this thing forever because that makes me feel bad. So we're going to go back to our ramp screen on the dyno. We'll wind the RPM up a bit. Sequential. 30% duty, open loop mode.
What's that do? Just go to the moon. Does that just stay at 30%, not take it?
Yeah. So I can get an idea of what's going on.
Yeah.
30%, 17 pounds. 40%, 20 pounds.
So the solenoid was stuck.
Can you remember that?
No. Boost cut.
45%. Bushcock cart. So 40% is going to be our kind of big number now. I reckon that solenoid was just a bit sticky. Looks pretty linear. Let's just see what happens. I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to do closed loop. So now I'm going to go target 18 pounds. Now I go target 20 pounds. That's it. You know what's really cool?
What?
So you've got cruise control, right?
Yeah.
How do you turn it on? See that? Cruise control state, disabled already.
Yeah, right.
If I go into here into my boost control and go to that one and go cruise control state, see on the right hand side, it went between disabled and ready, so 0 and 1.
Yeah.
So 0 and 1, okay.
So 2 different boost maps.
So, oh sorry, that is off. I've got 20 pounds, flick it on. I've got, well, 20 pounds. But you get the
Good
idea.
settings.
You like it.
I do like it.
So you press the button and basically nothing happens. No, now you go, boom, 16 pounds, boom, 20 pounds.
Can you go
16,
other
20,
way?
16, 20, 20, 16,
Yeah.
20, 16,
Cruise less,
16, 20.
no cruise more.
Oh, so you want to default to on. Default to action.
Yeah, because if I'm going to be on cruise control, you don't want it to try and jam 20 pound up the hill and then go,
Yes,
now I'm going
you
to target more boost.
Yes, you do.
So you got a car trailer on the back and it's like 20 pound up the hill, 140 k's an hour.
Nice. Geez, I wish I could do that, towing a trailer. Oh, what I would do to have a car that could actually do 100 kilometres up a hill with a trailer. Oh, need a Falcon.
Nah, because you can't put all your homies in it.
This is true.
You need an American.
Need some type
You
of
need
dual
an
cab.
American
We
dual
need to
cab
reach
truck.
out to the public for somebody to invest in us.
Someone hooked Scotty up with a tow vehicle for his
I
caravan.
promise I'll put it on the dyno faster than the 2 years this took.
He swears.
No, grey, maybe. All right, I'm going to disable the cruise control to bring us to 20.
I think we're done, aren't
What do we do next? Do we
Do a Hail Mary dyno run so we get a sweet dyno sheet
We
for
do
the end of
heaps
the
of
video.
them? Yeah. Cut pressure. So, what did I say the map sensor went to?
24.9.
So, if I put the boost cut to 26, is that right?
No, because it'll never get there.
Oh,
Because then it'll never have boost cut.
boost crap.
Boost cut like 24?
24.
Because we're just
Yep.
under the threshold of the sensor.
Yep. And all we're really protecting against there is a solenoid failure or a hosing failure, and if that's the case, it's going to the moon. We're not protecting against the ECU magically adding like 1 pound or 2 pounds more because
it won't.
it's not a thing.
Yeah, you're protecting mechanical failure.
Yeah. We will obviously need to go through and do ignition timing as well, so we're going to put timing into it. We're going to be watching the knock threshold values to make sure nothing funky is going on.
Because knock actually works when you use 98 fuel.
Yeah, that's a real thing. Yep, for sure.
Knock sensors, delete.
And what?
If it's
Oh,
the
yeah,
85.
yeah, it's kind of a bit of a...
It's like 2 inputs you don't need with an ECU
that's
anymore.
yeah, that's another...
Watch the internet blow up over that one.
yeah, that's another
Controversial
thing.
comment.
Controversial.
My theory, because I'm a very experienced tuner and all, is if you can measure knock with E85, it's probably the rod coming out.
I suspect that you are not an experienced tuner.
No.
If that's a thing, I don't know. I'm sure there's some magic to it. In my experience,
Have you ever seen knock on E85?
never damaged an E85 engine on from detonation. No.
I mean, as far as the actual sensor reading knock.
No, it's not a thing.
That's what I mean, though.
No,
Like, so
it's not a thing. By the time
by
you're
the time
there,
you hear knock, the
Yeah.
rod's knocked the sensor off the side of the block.
Something has gone horribly wrong.
Yeah.
That's the basis behind what I'm trying to say is that, yeah, the more alcoholic and methanol you go, the less detonation risk you've got, but the more melting risk you've got.
Yeah.
Whereas on petrol, you'll probably find that when you start to lean a petrol-based fuel out, is that, or I should say petrol, like a 95 or 98 RON petrol, that it's going to detonate and make noises from leaning out or from ignition
Way
timing.
earlier.
And you'll know something bad is going to be happening. Less likely to melt the side of a piston because you've audibly heard it detonating before that point on petrol.
Way before. and you probably get a couple of goes at it before it
Yeah.
blows the side
Yeah.
out of a piston or
Whereas
a
on
head gasket.
on methanol, like when it cuts a piston in half and takes the cylinder liner and takes the cylinder head and puts that flame out the side and burns the bonnet, and you're like, ugh.
Yeah, when the car's on fire.
Yeah. You're like, should have run it on petrol.
Yeah. Or at least the 85.
And then when it's on petrol, like, should have run it on methanol.
Yeah.
Oh, still starts.
Good exhaust, eh?
That
Like,
was
it
lucky.
sounds really good.
Yeah, and it's making grunt, eh? For like for an exhaust that is so quiet,
Yeah.
it's good,
Gets the
man.
job done.
One of the things that I do want to do is just bring up our last data log before we give it hell here and go for injector. Injecto duty cycle of just any injector, and we're using not very much of it. We're using 42% of it because we're on petrol. If we were on ethanol, we'd be using, to leave headroom, I kind of say 40%, but it is a little bit less.
Yeah. I did get injectors with the scope of potentially putting on an E85,
Yeah,
but
nice.
it is also a daily, so it's like, well, do you really
And
need
if it's
it?
flex fueled, it's pretty nice.
Yeah. But it's already making 340 kilowatts plus.
Yeah.
About to be probably 400.
Start data logging. Hear a little bit of a crackle. You go, yeah, nice. You can entertain my VW friends. Beautiful.
Look at that. Oh, $4.99 on the stick.
We wanted 20 pounds of our target, and that was our first pull. Comes up, comes on song, goes brrrr, and it achieves, oh man, 19.5 pounds. Like, for the effort of giving it hell, I'm pretty happy with that. What do you think?
It's a good effort.
This is our trim values, pulling 4, 5%, 5%.
Fuel or boost? Boost
Fuel.
Control? Fuel.
Interestingly, up the top there, it starts to start pulling out a little bit more. So from 5 grand to 6 grand. At 6 grand, it wants to pull out about 8 or 9%. So let's have a look at that. And go 6 grand, 8 or 9%, and we look up there and go, you know what? You can kind of see what's going on there. So at 5.5, we'll go down here to here. I'm going to go
made a new video
P
file, I
percentage
think.
-1,
It stopped, but
P
it's rolled again.
-2, P -3 to kind of smooth the shape across, and that kind of fixes that. So as we're revving it harder, the engine efficiency is rolling over, so the volumetric efficiency rolls over as well. It could be stuff like if that turbocharger is starting to become inefficient, then all of a sudden our efficiency rolls over, and that's why we have to pull fuel out.
Yeah.
It's making the power, so no big deal. I don't really care. We'll look at our injector duty just to make sure that nothing silly happened just then.
What do you like to see as far as top duty cycle used?
Man, in a perfect world, you would say 80%.
Yeah.
The reality is if you said 90%, and that allows trims to be working still.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as you're at 100%, stuff gets flaky because
There's no,
you're
there's
trimming,
no trim.
your percentage trims all get stuffed up. Your battery voltage is good. Our boost control output, let's just watch what it actually did. So this is interesting, look. So 40%, and then the harder we rev it, the output goes more.
Just 'cause it's consuming more air, right?
It's just trying to maintain it. So that's saying that that solenoid, to make that much, is bleeding 78% at the top.
Yeah.
So what I might do is go 4 grand, it wants 47%. So I'm going to help the closed loop again a little bit. That's pretty cool. So that, to me, seems good. I'm going to turn on the long term for the boost control now because it's close, it feels good. You like that?
Old
You like
school.
You know how you've always got to do the double-double?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like when you look at that power, like the top number's impressive, but the meat that it's got, it basically has just 200 kilowatts, like all the time.
Yeah.
Huge. And even maybe put it a different way, we're starting the pull at 60 or 70 kilowatts. I don't know, that's about, whatever, that's reasonable.
What the Lexus made NA flat out.
Yeah. It's just an interesting concept that's where we're at.
Yeah.
It's breathtaking. Yeah.
And it's bolt-ons to a factory engine.
Yeah. All right. Remembering as well, just with this, probably my only caveat on this, I couldn't care less. This thing will go all day, forever, never be a problem, except for the ZF. It's going to hold. Things are going to be pretty good. If you get carried away and do like a kick down shift, like a full throttle, third to second or second to first,
Kadink.
you may be shopping.
Wi-Fi input shaft.
You might be shopping for a billet input shaft. If there was going to be something that was going to break in this combo, that's what I think would be the limiting factor. Can we crack the hoodsie? And we will.
Do you want it up?
You know what? If Jan can hold it up.
The fan might actually hold it open. The airflow might hold it. Sort of in the middle. You'll find the sweet spot.
They're always hard to find, eh?
Yeah.
Every car.
Oh, car, yeah. He found it.
You got it.
Took a few poke arounds, but he found it. That was embarrassing. You wait till you hear the commentary from in here and the edit.
We put some air over it and just let it chill out for a bit. Good rev limiter noise.
That cut's warm now. Omar's like, it should make about 380 kilowatts.
Is that what he said?
Yeah.
Nice.
I had to go there. I dropped the Mustang to him yesterday.
That's excellent, and that always makes me happy as well because, you know, I'm always keen for input and advice from anyone who does it every day.
World, yeah.
And if he said it can make 380, and it makes 380, that makes me feel pretty good.
He's like, 380 on 24 pounds. So you're doing all right.
Man, he was wrong as, because it's made 388 on 23 pounds. No, 22 pounds. No, 20 pounds.
Are we still only on 20?
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Nope, that's exactly right. He was perfect. And the reality is, bang on.
Yeah.
But all we're doing here, I'm just going through looking at coolant temps, air temps, battery voltage, making sure the outputs are doing what I expect to be doing.
Yeah.
Man, there's not much funny business going on. It's all kind of just working. Man,
It's so disheartening that you can't actually buy this car or this engine or platform anymore. Like, we've proven today yet again how good they are, like 388 kilowatts at the rear wheels.
It's an absolute pleasure. They're easy to tune. Everything just works. They start nice, they idle nice. And even though we say like this made 388 kilowatts, so I'm going to give you permission to claim 400 kilowatts because it makes it easy. So 400
Internet,
kilowatts.
400 kilowatts.
But it doesn't really tell the whole story because when you look at the power graph and the torque it makes, like it's easy to say, it makes 400 at $6,000 where this car never ever goes.
Yeah.
But man, the bit down low is what surprises me where, like I said before, we start the pull at 100 kilowatts at $2,500 through the auto. And before you know it, it's got 250 kilowatts. So pretty much if you press the throttle, it's got 200 kilowatts at the wheels.
Yeah.
Like
it's such a wicked combo.
Yeah.
And also not going with an oversized turbo. Like it's literally a bolt-on factory style turbo.
Yeah.
Most people would pop the bonnet and go, it's got an intake and a couple of bits of pipe and whatever, and it's pretty unassuming. But the thing on paper will run probably a low 11 at 125. Like it's going to make some steam. Like if we can get it off the line, this thing's going to go.
Which it's pretty amazing. Yeah, compared to any other style of engine. So if you want to do an RB or a JZ or a EJ,
Pull the pin out of that grenade.
And make similar power. I mean,
spending bucks.
Yeah, it's just expensive. Yeah. So
even an SR, like to build
a
400 kilowatt SR.
Yeah.
That's actually not going to throw rocker arms every 2.5 minutes. So straight away you need a VE head.
And stock camshafts because you want it to idle at 600 RPM and you want to be able to idle it out of your driveway in the morning.
VCT works, aircon works. It's quiet.
Yeah.
How many 400 kilowatt cars have a quiet exhaust like that?
Yeah, big deal.
It's super nice. It will be sad to see it go. I am going to sell it at some point, internet. But yeah, it's a cool thing, but it is starting to get, as much as we've kind of keep changing stuff, it's starting to get some Ks on it, so I think I'm going to replace it with something sooner or later, but it does hurt me that it will never be something. There's never going to be a new Falcon like this. Like, there's not going to be an FH Falcon. There's no...
You can easily see, and I understand why, all of the old style Falcons, like if you want to get an XY or
EA. An EA Falcon is worth money.
So
like crazy.
Knowing how much of a performance car this is and how nice they are to drive as well, that
even in
100%, man,
too,
in
like
20 years you get one of these, this will be Ferrari money for sure.
Yeah, well, it's already Ferrari money. Look at the wheels on it.
Yeah, you're halfway there. Well, thanks for building it so nice, and it makes my job effortless and actually fun because we're not chasing headaches. Just tune it.
You know what was cool today? Actually seeing NSP in action. I haven't actually changed anything. This is the first car I own that's not got ESP on it.
Well, I'm glad
I've been a little bit scared because I don't know. I mean, as much as I don't know much about Haltech's and the tuning side of it, I can kind of fumble my way around ESP. As you saw, badly make injectors work with Band-Aid fixes and stuff. But NSP's a new animal to me, but seeing how quick the connection was and how easy the program layout is and some of the stuff that I found hard to navigate with ESP, like long-term fuel trims and stuff, is now in the initial drop-down table, and even having the favourites section where you can go, oh cool, these are the 7 things I'm going to look at all the time, put them right at the top, like quick go-tos, where I can have that set up at the track and go, oh cool, I want to check like boost control or torque management or any of these sort of things that we're playing around with the Cresta or even the Lexus.
One of the things that I didn't talk about today, which is probably one of the cool things just quickly about that, is that the password protection stuff's done differently on this now as well. Before it used to have one password on everything, whereas now, not that I don't trust you, and I'm not going to set a password on this, but if you wanted
Scotty
to...
123.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it'd be no warranty would be the password. But if it was there, I could help you by saying, all right, I'm going to put a password on all of the cold start stuff, all of the base ignition map, the base fuel map, the base duty cycle stuff, but not the target boost. So when you go online with it, you would only see target boost, launch, RPM, all the stuff.
As far as
it's kind of cut down for the stuff that you need at the track.
Yeah, so if I got stuck, you can still let me have enough access that we can troubleshoot without having a firewall and not being able to see anything at all. Yeah,
so it's clever like that where
cool.
it can function as a cut down unit for you.
And that makes it user friendly and there's kind of, you don't feel obligated, I guess, as a racer or as an owner of a car going to the track, you're kind of not under this sort of blanket when having zero access to the ECU. Now you've got access to parameters which you can't stuff up effectively. You go, oh, I wonder what the ignition timing is doing. Like, has something moved? Is my $400 trigger kit with slotted holes in it vibrated loose? Can we check that? Like, just
clever.
literally being able to throw a timing light on it and go, oh cool, it's 8 degrees before top dead. Man, it hasn't moved. Or oh shit, it's 34 degrees before top dead center on a timing light, but the ECU says 6 degrees. Like,
we've got problems here.
Yeah. Even just basic troubleshooting without having to ring your tuner, get them to remote access it, and then they're going to kind of hide behind this veil of remote playing around with it, and then you still really don't have a lot of access to it. No, that's a cool little feature.
Yeah, so man, there's a lot more coming. So we're working hard, and all of those features that like I've wanted for so long, we're getting there. We're putting all the nice bits
sick.
in. Yeah,
I'm pretty excited to get some Nexus action in the Cresta. That's coming.
Oh yeah, I love the Nexus. The only downside of the Nexus is that man, there's a lot of wires. You asked for a lot of wires, and there's a lot.
I'm not a wiring guy.
That's a Dave job.
Dave's going to bail me out. But as we do with every wiring video, I try and learn some more stuff from Dave because I don't want to be forever dependent on Dave to have to wire stuff. And even for the same thing, when we're at Drag Challenge and Drag Week, go, oh, this isn't working. How does the oscilloscope work in the ECU? Learn how to use those functions. And I'm never going to be a tuner, and I'm never going to be able to wire things to the level that Dave does. But I do have basic understanding of some stuff, and like Dave did do a wiring diagram for me to be able to wire the Lexus myself, and I think I only stuffed up 3 wires.
Yeah, that was
So
impressive.
we fixed that here on the day, so there was a few things where we just repinned it and whatever, but yeah, I do want to always try and learn more, because it's easy to be able to phone a friend and phone it in, but when we're literally halfway around the world, and it's also time difference. I don't want to be ringing Dave or you at like 4 o'clock in the morning Australia time and go, hey bro, I'm stuck on the line at Drag Week, can you help me out? Do me a solid. So yeah, hopefully going forward, the more of this sort of stuff we do with you guys, I'm trying to every time pick something up and learn. And hopefully you guys at home too can kind of pick up little snippets, and if you're playing with Haltex and whatnot, learn it too. But mate,
Pleasure.
thank you as always.
All right.
Really appreciate it.
We've run over
We did, but
by a mile.
it was worth it.
It's good.
And it's a solid bus. So sooner or later we'll probably run this thing down at Sydney Dragway on a Wednesday Arvo evening. Weather pending, because at the moment Sydney Dragway is probably best for racing jet skis. But we'll wrap it up, and we'll see you in the traps. Thanks again, Scotty.
Pleasure.
Thanks, guys. See you next time.